Hi everyone, it's Beth. Welcome back to the channel. So good to see you. In the spirit of continuing on with the discussion of family and toxic family members and how we can deal with that, I am going to be doing a reaction video today to an episode of the Dr. John Delony Show titled, "My Family Hates My Conservative Husband, and What Should I Do?" So after listening to some of this segment on his podcast, I realized the little bits and pieces that were eerily similar to what I'd experienced, and I thought this would be a great opportunity to pull up the actual video form of this, react to it, and create a video to be able to watch it alongside you, share some of my experiences and what I thought about his advice. My husband and I listen to Dr. John Delony often and think that he is a solid dude with some solid advice and just, very personable and relatable. And I'm looking forward to getting into this with you today and giving you a little bit more background on where I'm coming from, and hopefully, I don't want you to be able to relate really as far as you've gone through this, but if you have, then I hope that this gives you, somebody else that shares it too and you can talk about it with, and I'm definitely here for that community. All right, so reaction video to Dr. John Delony's episode. Let's get started. My family hates my conservative husband, and what should I do? Play.
Let's go to Leslie in Burlington Coat Factory, Vermont. What's up, Leslie? How we doing?
One reason why we love Dr. John, by the way. He is not afraid to be weird.
Good morning, Dr. John. How are you this morning?
So good. How about you?
I'm doing very well. The sun is shining. Life is good.
Yes.
And we are out here.
Our pets' heads are falling off. What's up? How can I help?
I'm doing, so I was looking for some advice on how to handle some family relationships, in particular, the one with my sister.
Okay.
Some of the context is that I recently got married last month, and I had been with my now husband for just about 6 years. Early on, there was some conflict between him and my family because he has some strong conservative values and very strong convictions in his faith, and they sort of attacked him for that.
So what parallels so far is, it's not necessarily with my sister because I don't have one, but her problem here is mainly with her sister. And with me, though, the situation with it being my husband that's attacked for beliefs is exactly what did happen. So she explained that, her husband had strong conservative values and, strong convictions in his faith, and her family attacked him for that. And I'm coming from a situation that, again, is eerily similar, but kind of on the flip side, where I have a family that is extremely, just deeply rooted in these ideologies of radical conservatism, really, just deeply tied into that Southern evangelical belief system. And my husband was attacked for being on the opposite side of that, even though he was also a man of faith.
My parents and most of my extended family, seeing that I was happy, were able to look past it and just see him for the guy that he is. But some of my family, in particular, my sister and a few cousins who I was very close with before I started dating him, are sort of still holding on to that, not quite resentment, but, for lack of a better word, resentment. It's now to the point where, my sister won't talk to me, refuses to visit our house, and essentially causes drama any chance that she gets.
And it has been almost 3 years now, will be 3 years in April, since we have last talked to some of my family members, immediate family members, that we have had to set very strong, extreme boundaries with to cut ties due to the safety and the peace of mind that we needed because of the attacks that were coming from that part of the family. And it was not just to, our mental health, but to our relationship, to our physical safety, to our reputations. And that boundary had to be cut out.
Any chance that she gets, if I'm being honest, I've never really had a good relationship with my sister, but it's definitely gotten exponentially worse since I started dating my husband. I don't want to assume any motive, but if I had to put my guess, I would think that it's partially because my husband really helped me find out, what my beliefs were and let me do my own, investigating and forming my own opinions. instead of just, whatever my family pushes me into, whatever box they assign me to.
Sure.
That is huge. By the way, family pushing you into boxes and then getting riled up and fighting back if you dare to step outside of that box in whatever way that is, whether it be to share an opinion that's contrary to theirs or to make a choice that is not one that they said they would have made, or to be with somebody who isn't their exact ideal partner, which again, they don't know anything about because they're not the one in the relationship. But even regardless of that, all of those things that family can try to put you in is so very toxic. And I really relate to what she's saying here, because she, even though her situation might be a little less extreme than ours was, she is still being ostracized and condemned for stepping outside of whatever this expectation, this rigid expectation was of her family.
What can I do to help rebuild and, in some cases, build these relationships back without having to cave on my views and beliefs?
You can't.
Easy enough.
Yeah. So, you dated this guy for 6 years, and you knew what your family thought of them, and you knew what you thought of him, and you chose him.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as a result of your choice, your family is now making their choices.
Mm-hmm.
And the challenge here is everybody's got a fantasy that they're trying to uphold. Like, I think in your heart and mind that once they realize that, no, I really love him, and yes, we see the world differently, but he's a good guy, and I'm a good person, and then we'll all just go back to one big happy family like on the TV shows. And they thought, oh, we can't stand his beliefs and values, and he's annoying, and he's got a whatever, and fill in the blank. But once they get married, they'll just be fine. And then everybody realized it was exactly the same as before you were married.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fantasy is crumbling in front of everybody.
And the way that it's pretty obvious now, as far as my family goes, is that fantasy idea, is attached more to, oh, well, one day, she'll realize that she was wrong, or that marriage won't be successful after all, or, she'll come crawling back, or realize, that my way was right, and she's been misguided, misled. And, on my side, I feel like I've just been wondering how in the world will things ever change. And I feel like Dr. John's about to get into some advice about that too, about, what to do when you are stuck in that situation. And again, like he said, you made your choice, as you should in marriage. I did make that choice because once you become married to someone, once you dedicate yourself to them in that way, tie yourself to them in that way, you start your own family. You begin your new life as one with that person. And that is where your main loyalties lie. Not to say you shouldn't care about maintaining, peace within family relationships, but your loyalty is to your spouse. And if there are people that will not cooperate to even try to make that peace and are that angry about that, that is outside of your realm of control.
And then people respond to crumbling fantasies in different ways. I tend to respond to them with a moment of frustration, and then just like, I don't know, I don't know if it's genetic or what, I just move on. Like, or Jocko, he says, like, good. Like, it is what it is, man. Let's just move on to the next thing. Other people spend the next 40 years of their life going to war over their picture of that fantasy. What our life should have been, and it doesn't feel right, it doesn't look right, so it's your fault and it's their fault, and I'm going to create drama and whatever. So really, the thing you can do is treat your sister with dignity and respect and move on about your day. Because she's chosen to not be in a relationship with you anymore. Because you chose to be in a relationship with your husband, right? I mean, so it's just like he said, she said, she said, he said. I think you need to grieve the fact that your family's opting out of you. Is that hard?
Incredibly.
Yeah. It sucks, huh?
And the way that he put that just now is heavy hitting, and she responds, it sounds like kind of teary, and he's just saying that it's time for you to grieve the fact that your family has opted out of you because of your choices and who you are now and how you've grown. They reject that. They have opted out. They have stepped away from relationship with you. And I mean, honestly, the way that he words it is really impactful. It's effective and it makes sense. They've made their choices, and that is outside of your realm of control. It's outside of my realm of control. And I know that I can only control what I do and how I respond to this situation. And for me, that's been by making very clear boundaries and having to cut off communication because of that toxicity. And, even to this day, those family members refuse to acknowledge us as a married couple. They refuse to acknowledge that I am a grown married woman with a spouse who I love dearly and who we share that, soulmate connection with, that healthy, mature, just walk of life that we share. That is something they reject. They have opted out. And I've been working through lately just really fully accepting that and realizing that they may not ever change on their views. And that's their choice.
Big time.
Like, is what I'm saying resonating with you, or am I out to lunch?
No, definitely.
It feels like you've been holding your breath for the last 4 or 5 years, trying to make them all happy and still love this guy and truly become who you are in this moment. And by the way, I think every single person's beliefs should change over time. That's why we read new books and go to speeches and try new workout programs and create discipline in our lives so that we learn new things and our beliefs change. But I think our values should stay the same, meaning I will treat people with dignity and respect. I will honor my body and my family, blah, blah, blah. So right now your beliefs are what they are, and you've chosen them. Good for you. I'm proud of you for having resolve and for strength, and that you've worked them out on your own and with somebody who you care about. Great. It just sucks when our family looks at our values and who we want to become, and they're like, I opt out. That's hard, right?
Dr. John is just again speaking to my soul right here. And I started this channel with wanting to share the, experience and the reflection from having grown and gone through these dramatic life changes and the small life changes, as well as the learning that I've done. And, as he says here, this woman has walked through her life relating to and growing with and learning from and with her husband, and that that process, that working together to do that, has helped her develop into who she is and really solidify her beliefs. And she knows, what she values outside of just the box that she was raised in. That 100% just is like it came straight out of my life, because that's where I am, and that's where I've been in my life experiences since I moved out on my own, and especially over the last few years, they've truly developed and made me who I am now, and I love who I am now, and I'm so much more confident in who I am now than before, when I was just adopting these labels, tags, and ideologies that other people were giving to me or pressing upon me. And they rejected that. I can understand that. I can relate to that. And it's not easy, but really that conviction and that confidence and that contentedness, with yourself and with what you believe can really help hopefully make it a little bit easier when you're walking through this type of situation.
For sure. And sort of what, since I started dating him, it's definitely felt like I'm more of like the black sheep of the family. Like my cousins, like I said before, I used to be very close with my cousins, and now they all have a group chat without me. And
now I'm vegan, so imagine how much more of a black sheep that I am.
They, make plans without me, even if it's in my area. And I guess what was the kicker and kind of led to all this kind of like drama starting was when my sister had, I had invited my sister up, said, come up for dinner, like, let's talk this all out, start fresh, like, let's lay everything on the table. And she's like, I can't, I'm busy, blah, blah, blah. And then that weekend, she had driven 2 hours past me to go on a spontaneous adventure. And that just makes me think, like, okay, so you have time to drive past me to do this spontaneously.
Okay, let's just say it out loud. She doesn't like you.
That's fair. To put it bluntly, yeah.
It sucks. It's hard, but let's just face that truth. She doesn't like you. She doesn't want to be around you. So much so that she'll lie to you, her own sister. So much so that she will drive past your house to go be with other people. And I think you need to spend some time living in that reality. And if I was to be meeting with your cousins right now on the phone, if there was like 6 of them all on the phone calling me, you know what they'd be saying? We told her for 5 years and she chose him over us. And we're hurt by that.
Right.
And
that's something that is so hard to think about too in the moment, but these people who are treating you this way do have their own perspective that they're coming from, and it could be extremely wrong and very misguided, and even coming from a place of mental illness sometimes. But whatever their script is, it's playing in their head is how they view everything. It's the lens with which they use to see everything else. And I've always, firmly believed this, and it just makes sense that, your perspective really guides what you do. And like Dr. John is saying, their perspective might be, that they feel abandoned or they feel left out. In my situation, it's a little more complex than that, but just keeping in mind too that they aren't going to see the reason that you see. And it is likely that they may not ever see that reason. They'll hold to their misguided beliefs or their victim mentality, or hold on to, you being the bad guy. And again, like, that's their choice. It's tough.
And that's what you did. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just trying to lay out the facts of this thing.
For sure.
So everybody's made their choices, their big grown-up decisions, and they've led everybody to a place where they don't want to be in a relationship with each other. You want the idea of a sister, but you don't like your sister. You haven't ever. Is that right?
That's putting it a bit strongly, but in so many words.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you like the idea of having a ride or die sister that you call and you talk about things, and when you get pregnant, you're going to talk about that, and when your husband does something dumb, you got somebody to call, and that's just not going to be your situation, at least for the time being.
Acceptance.
What I do think often these value conversations turn into you're a scumbag. And underneath values conversations, especially political conversations, whether it's conservative or liberal conversation, and we just force the world into these two options, which is just so stupid. It can be values-based, but then it gets into hospitality-based. And that's where I think both sides have issues.
Right.
I hate your idea so much, I won't be in your physical presence. And I think that's toxic and insane.
Now, I will say to that, though, too, I have kind of mixed feelings about that line that, I hate your values so much that I can't be in your presence. When it comes down to values that are just, basic financial ideals or things that are harmless, then sure. There are other things that I have a lot more of a tough time with. If there are people who are holding values that go against and degrade and endanger human life in any way and human right to life, then I have a problem with that, because that tells me a lot more about who you are as a person, your character, than it does whatever your fiscal ideologies are. So that's just something to keep in mind.
And I hate this group of people or this way of thinking or this way of being or this way of acting so much, I'm going to cash out my family over it. And I think that's insane too. I think there's a third way.
Right.
But that's not where your family is. That's not where a lot of families are, and that's okay. I think you've got to sit in the reality that your family doesn't want to be around you. And I'm not saying that trite. I'm saying that with a broken heart for you. And then when you grieve that, so all grief is the gap between what I expected and hoped for and reality. That's grief. I thought he would live forever. I thought she would quit drinking. I thought that he would only cheat on me one time, but he's done it 3 times. Grief.
That's worded so well. That really puts a lot into perspective what grieving is.
Is just sitting in that gap for a minute and then saying, now what? And then now what will mean you still have to have people in your life. And so you're going to have to be about making new friends, people you can call and trust and lean into. You're going to have to be about reimagining what holidays are going to look like. you're going to have to be about reimagining what your relationship with your sister is going to be. Because you're still going to have to deal with mom and dad. You're still going to have, they're getting old, all that kind of stuff. You're still going to have a communication, even if it's just quick text messages or emails or whatever. But that's not for right now. Right now is just sitting in the grief that your sister thinks you chose him over them, and now they're moving on with their life without you.
And like he just mentioned, that's not necessarily an easy thing to do. Different times throughout the process can be more difficult than others. Maybe you have come to a point in your life where you have accepted this and that it is just part of your reality, and that's how I felt for a while now. At first, it was really hard to kind of swallow and believe because it is just so traumatic there in that moment. But I have accepted it, you know, and I'm so happy with who I am and, you know, what I believe and how I live and my relationship with my spouse and just how precious that is and how confident that I am in us. You know, that doesn't bother me a whole lot anymore, at least on the surface. But, you know, like we talked about toxic family holidays and how to deal with that when it comes around that time of year, that can bring up things that might have been buried for a while. And also just thinking about, too, how to move on and trust people afterwards is not an easy feat either. I have a lot of work to do on that. And, you know, with that situation with me, I lost a lot more even than just that family relationship, but I lost friendships as well. And it was just a whole mess. So I'm still working on and analyzing my, you know, trust levels with other people. And as far as stepping out to connect and, you know, really build those friendships, expand a circle, build that community. And that's one of the reasons why I've been so excited and passionate about starting this channel, to open this discussion up with other people and to build that community and to make those connections. So thank you for being here with me as we walk through this video today. I hope that you found that useful, and I'm going to put the link to the entire episode of Dr. John Delony's show with this topic in it in the description below if you would like to watch it. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, if you find this content valuable or want to just walk this journey with me. And I am certain that this topic will come up again at some point. So thank you for being here, and go watch the rest of Dr. John's video. Have a great day. See you guys in the next video.